Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee investigating allegations made by KZN Top Cop Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi about systematic capture within the criminal justice system continued probing the National Police Commissioner General Fannie Masemola on day 4 of those hearings. And let's now bring in Security Strategist and retired Interpol Ambassador Andy Mashaile for some reaction in terms of what took place this week. Andy, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. I mean, let's start off here. There are lots to unpack. I mean, we had two witnesses this week at the Ad Hoc Committee. What stood out for you when it comes to the testimony from the National Police Commissioner General Fannie Masemola today?
One, he was in a survival mood. 2, he was in an educative mood. 3, he showed the weaknesses that you and I, Mbali, are being brought up with. Respect for authority. You know that weakness of not looking your senior in the eye. It came out very clear in the grilling of the Madlinis Breitenbach. We want to say to our seniors, go fly. But because of the upbringing that we have, it is sometimes a challenge. And when you don't do that, Mbali, you end up in a mess of this nature. And what I also picked up from Masemola, he had a very difficult week. Imagine following the rapid response generating Kwanazi, comparing him with Masemola, who is calm. Masemola comes out second best, but still corroborating what Kwanazi alleged as the heart of the role that we're seeing, as the heart of the establishment of these two fora, the Nhlanhla Commission as well as the Ad Hoc Committee.
And when it comes to the testimony that we saw this week, Mr. Mashaile, from the KZN Top Cop, and that's Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, I mean, a number of people had expected that his testimony would also then, be quite similar to that in the Nhlanhla Commission. But this time around, we got a different Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and even new revelations coming out from his testimony.
Mbali, he had indicated that he was going to save the best for last. This is the second leg of the best. I'm sure the last part of the best would be in a court of law. He has revealed more based on the investigations, briefing and progress that he's been exposed to from his team. Some of the things that he spoke about on the last day was that he spoke to the DPP in KZN, the Director of Public Prosecutions, with regard to the criminal case that he opened. And he indicated that the Director of Public Prosecutions said to her, all is honky-dory, and he said there will be arrest very soon. Yesterday we saw the visit to General Sibia's house. We also saw the SIU kicking into action, confiscating cars and many of those things. So I am certain, Mbali, that his strategy has gone into the second phase. The second phase would be what you call from the Art of War, Sun Tzu's Art of War, would be going into the stratagem. So the stratagem, executing the stratagem would mean, now that I have further investigations and opportunity to execute arrest, I would now focus my responses based on what is going to happen, given the information that I now have.
And Mr. Mashaile, let's stay, with what you talk about and what took place yesterday. I mean, we saw the suspended Deputy Police Commissioner, Shadrack Sibia, giving a press briefing to journalists yesterday. Also then saying that some of his devices have been confiscated by law enforcement. We also then subsequently saw a press briefing by the Chief of Staff of the Police Minister, Senzo Mchunu, and his name, Cedric Ngabinde, also alluding to the same issue, saying that his devices have have then been confiscated. And this brings me to what Servet Nhlanha said just before he wrapped up, asking Masemola whether there are cracks within the top structures of the South African Police Service, and of course even asking and going further on to say, are they not concerned when it comes to whether it seems as if there are many cracks in the top, part of the security cluster in our country. What does that say when we see top officials in the security cluster seemingly being pinned up against each other? Should we be concerned as a country?
No, Mbali, where crime is concerned, where there are suspicions that Mbali and Endi, who are generals, have committed crime, the two fora, the Ad Hoc Committee as well as the Nhlanha Commission, must not stop investigations from going on. And those that must be arrested should be arrested. Obviously, all police stations are running, and all districts, all provinces, and the national head office is operating. So it does not necessarily suggest that because the National Commissioner is in front of the Portfolio Committee, the Ad Hoc Committee, as well as Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi having it kick-started of the week, it doesn't mean that policing must come to an end for the two fora, Nhlanhla and the Ad Hoc Committee, to finalize their investigations, and only then will police stations run. Criminals are still being arrested, and if some of the suspects are in the national leadership of the police, what must you do? You must go after them so that they must have their day in court, so that the court can clear them or the court can find them guilty, and the necessary processes should unfold. I found the question amusing based on my response that there must be investigations that are ongoing. Now, here is one question that would be doing rounds in your mind, in my mind, and in the minds of other South Africans. Will we see Minister Mkhunu being arrested? Because Ndate Masemola in his response said he will not be able to respond to Honorable Member Derlin James' questions whether Ndate Mkhunu will be arrested. And I am assuming, given the set of facts, the set of information before us, before me, that says he's one of the suspects, will he be arrested? And when he is arrested, will that process interfere with Nhlanhla, Commission of Inquiry, as well as the Ad Hoc Committee? Maybe yes, maybe not, but the arrest, if there's evidence, must be effected.
Andy, very important questions that you are raising there as well. And of course, we just heard there from Servet Nhlanha, who is the chairperson of the Ad Hoc Committee, also saying that next week, when this committee resumes its work, we'll then see Shadrack Sibia then taking to the witness box or stand in Parliament and giving us his evidence. When it comes to what we saw play out yesterday outside of his home and saying that his life is under threat, what are you expecting when it comes, to the testimony of Shadrack Sibia, something that will be completely different to what we've heard this past week?
Mali, having worked in the same space, in the same office with him at the provincial head office of Gauteng when he was the head of the Hawks, and how he deals with issues, I am sure that he's under a lot of pressure. He would be under that kind of pressure. Me too, if we were in his shoes. And I am sure on Monday that trauma will still be in his head and in his heart. But notwithstanding that, he still has to respond to the questions of the Ad Hoc Committee. One critical aspect is, will the phones, the gadgets that he keeps his information on, will it be returned to him? Will he, if not, will he be able to respond to some of the matters that are contained in the questions of the Ad Hoc Committee? If not, he won't be able to do that. Will he blame the raid in a way and manner that says, I have written my responses on the devices.
All right, Mr. Mashaile, thank you so much for your time. That's Security Strategist and retired Interpol Ambassador Andy Mashaile there, just giving us his thoughts when it comes to the day 4 of Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee probing political interference and corruption within the criminal justice system.